It's finally that time we get to talk about Cole Palmer. No, we're not going to say what a very famous pundit said, that he needs to leave the team because the team isn't good enough for him. We need to talk about Cole Palmer. Kweku, you're a Chelsea fan. What is going on?
Um, there's a couple of things. Obviously, his form is not where it was last season, where he took people by storm, really, and people didn't really expect what they got from Cole Palmer. Again, his numbers last season, if you want to admit it, were propped up by penalties. He hasn't taken as many penalties this season. I think he's only taken 1 or 2 penalties this year. But Cole Palmer still scored 14 goals in the league this season. Only Salah, Isak, Chris Wood, Haaland have scored more goals than him, and they're their team's primary goal getters. And so he's still having a decent season.
But out of that list of players, who else in the league do you think should have scored more than him?
Should have scored more than Cole Palmer? That's a very good question.
Because I think he's like you're going, yeah, these guys scored more, but that's because they are.
I think you'd expect Bukayo Saka to have scored more goals than him.
He'd been injured.
Yep, still wouldn't be on the same amount of goals as Cole Palmer. Ollie Watkins, the same amount of goals as him. I think there's players out there in the Premier League that should be scoring more goals than Cole Palmer. At 14 league goals right now, he'll probably end up on what? 18, 19? First season got 22. That's not a bad season. You can't really sniff at that as somebody who's not a striker. But I will take what you're saying in terms of there's been drop off in form. Cole Palmer's not the same Cole Palmer that he was last season, partly because of the players around him, partly because of how the opposition set up against him. And it comes with the territory of being the guy. And I saw it with Eden Hazard when teams game planned against him, and you just have to figure out a way. And when you are that guy, you are set for unfair criticism. There are people in the media who criticise Erling Haaland, who has scored more goals than Alexander Isak. People say he's a League Two standard player. This is the man who broke the Premier League goal scoring record in his first season. Last season, poor year, still scored 27 league goals, walked away with the Golden Boot. There's people that criticise Mo Salah. Oh, he's not actually a very good footballer. This is a man who's one of the best footballers the Premier League has ever seen. And so it comes with territory. When you are great or when you are destined for greatness, people will criticise. Think about the discourse around Phil Foden. Oh my God, he's rubbish. PFA Player of the Year last year, scored some incredible goals against Real Madrid, scored so many league goals. When you are that good, you are going to be criticised, and he just has to embrace it and has to find a way to overcome it, because that's what the greats do. When they criticise, they find a way to overcome it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think much ado is probably being made about nothing. I think he's still had a good season. I think the one place where he lets himself down a little bit, and like we know it from playing football, there's always a player who's always the best on the team. And what makes them really, really good is whether they don't get frustrated with the other players when they try something. And that's what I saw in the first 10 minutes against Brighton away when you lost 3-0 last week. Cole Palmer played 2 unbelievable passes, amazing touch in midfield, played 2 unbelievable passes. The players weren't quite on the right wavelength, and his head just dropped massively. And I feel like if you are going to be the guy in a team, if you're going to be that man, and you're going to play in a position where you are creating, you're going to have to get a little bit stronger mentally when things don't go right for you. That's why we see like Kevin De Bruyne and Eden Hazard be the players that they are, because they were the guys. And when players around them weren't playing particularly well, they would pick it up and they would drive themselves. And I feel like Palmer he's still very young, but I feel like he might be a little bit weak psychologically in terms of getting a bit too frustrated, either with teammates or with himself. And then his head goes down, which I don't like to see.
Do you think there's a potential conversation about positioning? I know he started to play in the middle because that's where he sort of drifted into, and obviously that's where you want your main players. But because he started to play in the middle, and we discussed this before we started recording, he hasn't got pace and power, which in the Premier League is an absolute critical thing. If you think about Kevin De Bruyne at Man City, central area, strong and quick. Even Dominic Szoboszlai, he's strong and quick, obviously doesn't have the technical sometimes. And then I look at someone like Ødegaard is super intelligent, so he can pick up spaces. I don't see Palmer fitting any of those, actually. And so I kind of go, I watched a game recently, I can't remember the game, might have been Ipswich, and Sam Morsey just said, I'll just go run after you. And he just chased after him for the whole game. And that meant Palmer couldn't influence the game.
Yeah, the beauty of Cole Palmer is that Ipswich game, you're right in terms of him getting man marked out of it, but he'll always give you in 90 minutes of football, he'll give you a moment of magic. In that game, he took the ball out of his feet on left foot, hit the crossbar, and it could have been a different story. He's always going to give you a moment, and it's unconventional. You think about what is it that makes him so special, and it is his speed of thought. It is his ability with the ball at his feet. But you're right to point out that he hasn't got the super physicals. He's not super strong. He's not incredibly quick, but he combines all facets of his game together to make this very, very good footballer who last season took the league by storm. I just feel like it's a case of people are understanding what he brings to the game. People understand how to game plan against him. And also, in a Chelsea team that offer very little, if you think about how little the wide men are offering Chelsea at the moment, think about the struggles Nicholas Jackson's had in front of goals, and think about the amount of big chances that Cole Palmer's created. I think it's like 36 without a player scoring. You can understand why he gets frustrated, but I want to see more. I think that you are destined to be a great, and the greats need to show more, and they have to overcome adversity. And I've seen it from Eden Hazard, from a Chelsea fan's point of view, multiple times. I've seen it from other players in the league. I've seen it from Mo Salah, where the season where I think he scored like 18 or 19, and people were like, is he actually that good? Next season, he gives you numbers. So for Cole Palmer's point of view, he's had an okay season, and I think by the end of it, he'll be on around about 18, 19 goals, but I want to see a little bit more.